Alright, hello, and it's time to start my next Jackie, let's move closer. My next Jackie Faber blog. Okay, so it's been 100 years. I don't think when I started this, I thought, you know, that it was gonna take 100 years. Mainly because I didn't, you know back in September of 2019, what a fucking shit show 2020 was gonna be. Anyway, so the main reason, I mean like pretty much the main sole reason that I haven't been continuing this reading blog thing is because I couldn't get the books. Like, I'm like not gonna buy them. I don't wanna. I wanna get them from the library. And our library was closed for like 2 months. And then when they opened again, it was like curbside pickup only. And I was like, I don't want to figure that out. And also they weren't doing the interlibrary loan, which is the only way I get these books anyway, because our library doesn't have them anymore. Like they did when I was a kid. I don't know why things change, but they do. So anyway, now everything is back to them actually, like, you can go into the library and you can get stuff through interlibrary loan again. A+. So I, you know, it's been like that for like a couple weeks, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna order the next 2 Jackie Faber books. So then I went to the library this morning to pick them up, and of course I got some other books. So I'm gonna waste your time by talking about them too. So I'm gonna do those first, and then we'll get to Jackie. Okay, so I meant to just get like one other book. All right, I was like, all right, I'll read one of the Jackie ones and then another book, and then, you know, and then the other one, but then I got 2 books also. So Redshift by Alan Gardner. So I just saw this in the science fiction fantasy section and was like, that looks cool, and picked it up and got it. Which is why I have so many sci-fi books on my TBR shelf on Goodreads that I haven't read because I just constantly read other things. But this is like from the 60s? No, let's find out. I looked earlier and I forgot. 1973. Awesome, except this also is a new introduction. Okay, also I want you to like look at this cover really carefully. It's probably really hard to see because it's reflecting things, but there's like a person. I didn't realize that until I looked at it like in my car after I'd left the library, and I was like, what the fuck? But I love this cover. Okay, anyway, it's like in 2nd century Britain, Macy, which, what kind of a name is that for a 2nd century Briton? Actually, wait, no, he's a Roman. It's even worse. And a gang of fellow deserters from the Roman army hunt and are hunted by deadly local tribes. 15 centuries later, during the English Civil War, Thomas Rowley hides from the ruthless troops who have encircled his village. And in contemporary Britain, Tom, a precocious, love-struck, mentally unstable teenager, struggles to cope with the imminent departure for London of his girlfriend, Jan. 3 separate stories, 3 utterly different lives, distant in time and yet strangely linked to a single place, the mysterious looming outcrop known as Mo Cop, and a single object, the blunt head of a stone axe. What? I'm curious. Okay, also it's really short. Also, this is how you find weird stuff, is you just read books. Okay. What else? I'm just gonna like chuck that on the floor. Okay, the other one I got. The Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerizing Girl by Theodora Goss. So I've read the first 2 books in this series, and prior excursions to the library I had not seen this, but obviously I saw it today and I was like, fuck yeah, I want to read this. Let's see what's happening here. The Athena Club, Burb. I don't really want to get into it, but basically it's like the daughters of all of like Van Helsing and like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I know they're the same person, but they're also sort of not. And also there were some vampires in the second one. It's great. And Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson are characters in all the books. And one of the things that happened in the second book was Sherlock Holmes like fucked off to do something and then never came back. And everyone kind of after a few weeks was like, this is getting, like, he should be back by now, right? So the 3rd book. After their thrilling European escapades rescuing Lucinda Van Helsing, Mary, Jekyll, and her friends return home to discover that their friend and kitchen maid Alice has vanished, and so has their ally and employer, Sherlock Holmes. Burp, burp, burp. So I'm really excited for this. Also, this title is great. Also, these covers are just beautiful. Okay, now let's get to the point, which is my Jackie Fabers. Here they are. Fuck. Okay. Ooh. let's do it. All right. The next book, book 7 in the series, Rapture of the Deep. Being an account of the further adventures of Jackie Faber, soldier, sailor, mermaid, spy. Very exciting. So this is the book I forgot existed when I was trying to list all of the Bloody Jack books. Like, this is the one I totally forgot. I was like, fuck, I'm missing one, and I had, you know, and then I had to look up the list, and I was like, how did I forget an entire book? So I guess they go to the Caribbean. I think the British Secret Service or somebody is fucking with her again, and they're like, go find us some Spanish gold in the Caribbean, and she's like, probably like, how can I steal this for myself? I don't know. Like I said, I totally forgot this book happened, although I think this might be the one where they meet Byron, because I was talking about that in the last video, you know, 5 months ago. Was it 5 months? No, it was probably more like 4. That's enough. Okay. And the second book here, book 8, The Wake of the Lorelei Lee, being an account of the further adventures of Jackie Faber on her way to Botany Bay, which, like, is so typical. Of course she gets sent to Botany Bay. But yeah, we'll get to this obviously later, but this is where we're starting. However, I am in the middle of a really excellent other book. For reference, if you care, I am reading Ancillary Justice. It's fantastic. So I'm not starting this today. Incidentally, today is the 25th of July. And yeah, so I will be starting this sometime this week, pretty soon. Don't know when exactly, but we will get to it. And then we'll find out what it is I forgot. Alright, see you then. Alright, it's time to begin. I've got my book, I've got the light on, and I've got my chai latte, and this is where I sit to read a lot of the time. It's just in the living room. I like that living with my parents means that it kind of looks like I'm somebody's grandma, the way that everything's decorated. Although even my grandparents didn't have, like, super flowery sofas. But anyway, I'm gonna start Rapture from the Deep, and Rapture of the Deep, and I'll tell y'all about it when I read a bit. Alright, some time has passed. It's later in the day. Well, I mean, it's still the morning. But I have read like 100 pages of this. I read the first 2 sections, so ta-da! I'm doing great. Okay, so let's see what's been going on. So to begin with, Jackie has just been rescued by her friends from France, and that's how the previous book ended. And she immediately resolves to, because Jamie is there, and like, wow, they're in the same place for the first time in a zillion years, resolves to go get married to him as soon as possible. But it doesn't end up happening. They get so close. They get so close. They have everything planned. She has on her fucking wedding dress, and then she gets snatched off the street by the British intelligence people again, and they have a new mission for her. So yeah, it's not too bad though, you know, I mean, all things considered. They're sending her and her crew on her ship, the Nancy B. Alsop, which is named after her mother, to the Caribbean to look for some Spanish gold. And they're also sending the Dolphin, which is now under the command of Captain Hannibal Hudson, who we met briefly in a previous book. And Jamie is also being assigned to the Dolphin. And they need to go find the Spanish gold and, you know, give it to the king or whatever. And it's going to be fun. They're going to be off the Florida Keys doing, Jackie's going to be doing some diving. So the reason that this particular ship and its, you know, golden ingots and whatever hasn't been found in the, like, 80 years since it sank, is because it's deeper than some other ships that sank in the same storm, and which have already been, like, thoroughly plundered. And somebody's gone and invented kind of a diving bell apparatus that she's going to use to go down there. So like, I guess the idea is that she sits, it's kind of this, I'm imagining it, this is kind of like diving bell thing, and she's gonna sit in it, and it's gonna go down, and then it's gonna have air trapped in it because of the way like physics works, and then she can swim out of it to look around and then swim back into it. And they're gonna be down to like 250 feet, they said, and I'm like trying to remember what I've read about deep water diving, regarding like, cause that's pretty fucking deep. Like I know it's not really that far of a distance, 250 feet, but water pressure just, you know, increases very quickly as you go down, and we are humans used to existing, you know, at a single atmospheric pressure, and so there's a limit to how far down a person can go, and then of course as they come back up they have to do so slowly so that you don't get the bends and die, and it's all going to be very dramatic. Also, they're obviously doing this like very secretively. They're pretending that it's a scientific expedition because they don't want the Spanish to notice what they're up to. The Spanish control Florida, apparently. I was reading that like, really? They control Florida in 1806? Okay. That shows you what I know. I don't know anything. But yeah, so they're gonna be having some fun times in the Caribbean. So as far as they went to Boston, she's met up with all of her old friends, everything's great, and I read to a part where they're about to leave and set sail for the Keys. So, yeah, that's where I am. 2 sections in, about, let's see, how many pages actually is it? 105 pages. Obviously it reads very quickly. I'm having fun with it. Higgins is going to be there. Jamie is actually, like I said, going to be on the Dolphin, so he'll be like in this book more. Like basically everybody is going to be there, and it's going to be great. So I'm having fun. And I genuinely do not remember anything about this book. I'm like, okay, they die for Spanish gold, and that was it, right? It was like British intelligence sends her to go find some Spanish golds. Yeah, so anything could happen. I imagine that she's going to try and steal some of that gold and get in trouble. That's kind of what I'm picturing. Because I know that book 8, the next book, they're sending her to Botany Bay. Like, they're finally fucking sick of her, and they're like, to Australia with you. So she's gonna have to do something in this book to like piss him off, right? Because what they're hoping at the beginning here is that if she can get this gold and give it to the king, it'll at least partially forgive her crimes, which are mostly stealing the emerald and like basically like, so she's kind of in debt to the crown because of that. And if she doesn't take this mission, then they'll send her to the Lord of the Treasury or whatever the fuck, and then the Exchequer, I don't know, British things, and she'll probably end up getting hung. So that's why she agrees to do this. Also, they have this stipulation that she and Jamie like have to she's not allowed to get pregnant. That's the thing. They're like, she's like, why can't we just get married? They're like, because you'll get pregnant, and then what use will you be? And she's like, ah. And there was this kind of funny bit at the beginning where she's all like, I'm gonna marry Jamie immediately, and Higgins is like, okay, slow your roll. First of all, if you marry him, he will own all of your stuff. Second of all, you'll get pregnant. So like, think about things for like 30 seconds. And she's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I was like, all right. And it's funny because like, Jamie has expressed in previous books, at least to some degree, that he has this kind of expectation that they'll get married and then she'll be in like some sweet little cat cottage by the sea waiting for him, and she's like, boy, no. So hopefully he's been disabused of that notion, that imagining of what the future is going to be like. But he's still like, okay. But yeah, so they're not going to get married yet. So like, this book series does reach a point where I'm like, guys, just do it. Because like, they keep getting into increasingly ridiculous scenarios preventing them from getting married. But, well, I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as I remember. Because in this case, this is a little bit ridiculous. But I know in some of, you know, in most of the books, they're like half a world apart from each other anyway because of like circumstances. So that's less contrived. I also know that there's a plot line in one of the books where Jamie just like becomes a fucking like
highwayman and is riding around in sadness. And I think that's book 8. I'm not sure if he thinks she's dead or what, so I guess we'll get to it. It's not this one, because he's, like, you know, in the Caribbean, so he can't be doing that. And it was dumb, right? Like, I'm looking forward to that plot because it was fucking dumb. So, okay, we're gonna see how, you know, whether it's as dumb as I remember. But we're not there yet. We're here, and I'm so hyped. Higgins is gonna be here, like, all the gang is here. We're gonna have a great time.
Oh, okay. So, just a quick update. Let's see, it's Wednesday now? So I kind of didn't read anything for 2 days, but, I got back into it tonight, and I read, like, another 100 pages, and I'm not really done, actually, for the evening either, but I figured I'd update before it gets, like, too late. So they're in the Caribbean now, and Jackie's been having some, you know, doing some diving, but well, they're waiting for the dolphin to show up, right? But she's been doing some diving and just getting some kind of specimens for Dr. Sebastian, and there was a harrowing ordeal with an alligator. And be great if my glasses weren't reflecting the camera. Okay, that's slightly better. No, it's not. Whatever. Who cares? Oh, and they've got this woman, Jemima. So there's this whole part where they were in Charleston and there was a slave auction. And Jackie, being Jackie, ended up purchasing this one old woman because nobody wanted her. Which I thought was kind of surprising because they said that she'd been, like, working in a house for like 40 years. You'd think that would be worth something. I don't know. But anyway, Jackie bought this woman, Jemima, and then set her free, but she came, as far as Havana with them. I don't know if she's gonna show up again, because, like, she kind of set off, but I don't know if she's gonna come back to the ship or not, because, like I've mentioned, I don't remember a single fucking thing about this book. They're hanging out in Havana now and, like, having a great time. Apparently, I learned this. Havana, at this time, was the largest city in the Americas north of Peru. I don't know what city is in Peru that was really big at the time, but yeah, so it was bigger than any city in the United States at this time. So that's cool. And then I looked up just present day because I have no idea how big Havana is, and it's a little bit smaller than Chicago, but not that much. So it's like comparable in size to Chicago. So I was like, oh, cool. This is the best angle. Anyway, I'm still really enjoying the book. All the little characters on their ship. Yay. And all the diving, and at one point, and she sort of invented the swimsuit. And at one point, like, was grabbed by a moray eel, and was not a fan of that experience. And now they're in Havana, and they went to this cockfight, and I do vaguely recall that she gets her little chicken, her little cock chicken, her little rooster, yeah, and gets him to do some cockfighting, and, like, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that happens, I guess. And they're going to Rick's Cafe Americano. She says, they say that everyone goes there. I'm like, is this, like, a reference to Casablanca for no reason? Like, what? But hey, who cares? Yes, so, still really enjoying it. Let's see, how long is this book? We're gonna go on a voyage of discovery together. Okay, it's about 450 pages, so I'm not halfway through it yet, but I will be soon. Yeah. Yeah, so they really haven't, like, but oh, they did find the sunken Spanish ship. Okay, they did do that. I should probably mention, because that's kind of important. Obviously, she can't dive down that far until the dolphin shows up with the diving bell thing, but she did kind of, like, see that the ship was down there, so. Or at least we assume it's the right one, because it's in roughly the correct spot, so. Yeah, so there's gonna be more nonsense in Havana, which I'm really enjoying. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to it, but just thought I should, you know, figure out the worst possible place to film from and then do it. So I did. Go me. All right, let's finish this one. So Rapture of the Deep, I have finished it. It's now July 31st, Friday, and I worked this weekend, so I had today off, so I had the morning to just like sit and read the rest of this, and so I'm done. I quite enjoyed it. It was, you know, it was okay. It was pretty good. I definitely, it's not, I don't think it's one of my favorites. You know, I don't find the villains to be particularly compelling. I don't spend that much time on them. Like, there's a pirate and there's a Spanish, like, well, there's a big Spanish ship, but the main kind of villain character from that ship is this, like, unpleasant lieutenant who serves aboard and comes to some, you know, issues with Jackie a couple of times. And yeah, I just never felt very connected to any of that. I liked her pirate friend Jimenez. He was fun. I don't know, and then like a lot of it is Jemima telling these Brother Rabbit stories, which I was like, I don't know, not that interesting. I also didn't like that they called her Aunt Jemima sometimes, just because her name was Jemima, and they called her Auntie a few times, and I was just like, that's stupid. Like, that's kind of a dumb joke. I mean, granted, this is a book series where one of the characters reoccurring is named Davy Jones, but like, nah, pass on that. But I did like Jemima as a character generally, when she wasn't doing that, I guess. I don't know, there was some good Higgins content, I guess. But yeah, not my favorite one. I was also kind of distracted by the fact that there's a whole plot, obviously, about her diving down a good 250 feet to get this gold, and I was like, trying to remember what I've read about, you know, deep sea diving, and like, okay, so the idea is that she's supposed to go down with the diving bell and then come back up with it as well. I am just not sure how well that would preserve your like ability to how do I want to put this, like the thing is that when you're diving to depths in the ocean, the atmospheric pressure goes up a lot, and that affects, like, basically I think it mostly affects like how oxygen gets into your lungs. So I'm really not sure if bringing a bell down like that would make it easier to survive and to not get the bends, because she actually does get the bends at one point. Because she goes up without the bell, because Dr. Tilden doesn't really explain to her why she needs to not do that. But I don't know, I was just reading it like, I don't think this is really very realistic. And wow, a shock. This series not realistic, but I don't know, that was kind of bothering me. But whatever, it had a happy ending, we got our gold. Like, okay, so she's, as far as she's concerned, she thinks she's home free. She helped take this big Spanish warship and it's getting sent off to the king. So she figured, plus all this gold, so she figures, you know, she should be good, right? And of course she stole some gold. Of course she did. But like millions of, I guess, pounds worth of this gold went to the crown. So, you know, what she took, which makes her crazy rich, by the way. Of course, she's not going to keep it all herself. Like, her crew is all going to get some, and, you know, all the people that she's kind of taking care of are going to get some, but, like, still, crazy rich. And at the end of the book, she's all like, I'm going shopping for a boat. Like, she's going to buy herself a big ship, a bigger ship than the Nancy B. Alsop, which is a schooner. I don't really know what that means, but it's smaller than a brigantine. I think it is a fairly small ship, although obviously, like, it's still big enough to have like 6 cabins and a bilge and like all this shit. Although I guess they all have bilges. I don't know. Anyway, I am done with this now, and yeah, I'm not really surprised that I forgot everything that happens in it. Like I said, I don't think it's wildly memorable, but the next one is The Wake of the Lorelei Lee, and that one I'm gonna start reading not right away. It'll be right away from the perspective of the blog, or the vlog, but like not in real life. I'm gonna read something else first. But The Wake of the Lorelei Lee, what I remember about that one is she gets sent to Botany Bay. Like finally the Admiralty probably finds out she stole that gold, I'm assuming, and then decides that enough with this, but instead of executing her, they're gonna send her to Australia, where they send, you know, their prisoners, and naturally she's gonna have to connive a way to escape and to get out of that situation. So that'll be fun. The Lorelei Lee, I thought was the ship that takes her to Botany Bay, but when I then looked at the book, it's actually the ship that she buys. So Lorelei Lee is hers, I think. But yeah, I'll get to that. So this one was okay. All right. It's about a week since I finished the previous book, and I have started the next one today, the 9th of August, and it's a Sunday. Woohoo! So I read 115 pages of this, which got me all the way through the first part, so I'm like right at part 2 now. Delightful so far. Okay, so basic premise of this one is that Jackie thinks everything is gonna be great. She buys a lovely new ship called the Lorelei Lee. She's like on top of the world, and then she gets a letter from Jamie being like, hey, everything's pretty much cleared up here in England, so you can come back. And she's like, fuck yeah. So they sail across to merry old England, but unfortunately she leaves too quickly to get Jamie's follow-up letter, which is like, I'm about to be arrested. Don't come back from Boston. Everything is gone to shit. Okay, so yeah, so then she gets to England and then gets arrested like immediately, and there's a trial, and she's in Newgate, and there's all this crap. Because like, of course, they found out about the gold, and fucking Flashby did not get eaten by alligators like we were all hoping he did. And of course he knows that she stole gold, so yeah. So she gets convicted, but they're like, all right, you've done services for the crown before, and you've got all of these people who really like you and will probably send this through endless annoying appeals, so we're not gonna execute you. We're gonna send you to Australia. And she's like, ugh. So yeah, so she's supposed to be sent to the New South Wales penal colony to stay there for life, I guess. I don't really know how that works. Like, do they keep track of people once they get there? I would assume not, because that would be hard. So, like, couldn't you just leave Australia again? Like, I understand, obviously, that for most people sent to the Australian penal colonies, they couldn't really leave because, like, where are they gonna get money for a ship? Where are they gonna get a ship? Where are they even gonna go? But, like, for Jackie specifically, she don't fucking care. She'll sail over somewhere, who, you know, which I don't actually remember what she does. I do know that, I mean, I read the description of the book, right? And it's like, okay, I know she ends up in Asia, in that general area, because the next book is set in Asia. So that'll be super fun. But, I don't know, like, whether she just leaves Australia, she just, like, is like, eh, whatever, fucking off, or if something happens en route. So, the indignity and the irony is that they have taken her ship, and they're actually using her ship, the Lorelei Lee, to transport these, like, 250-odd women, including Jackie, to New South Wales. And she's like, there's this wonderful scene. So, okay, so she gets convicted to get sent to the penal colony, and they're gonna send them in, like, she doesn't really know, but it turns out to be a couple weeks. And so she's in this like awful prison on the Thames, which is just like called the Hulks, and it's like basically just these ships that they don't have like rigging anymore or anything. So they wouldn't sail anywhere, but they're just like using the physical ships to keep people in, and it's like the literal worst. How they don't literally all die of like, I don't know, cholera or whatever, I don't know. But a bunch of them probably do. But so that's where she is, and Higgins comes to visit her, and it's like, it was like my favorite scene in this book so far, because it's just this really long scene of him explaining like, you know, okay, so here's what happened with this, and here's what's happening with Jamie, and getting to kind of the, okay, and also they took your ship, and that's how you're getting New South Wales. And then there's this, oh my god, there's this wonderful bit where she's like, who's gonna, you know, be in charge of Faber worldwide, Faber shipping worldwide, and she's like, and he's like, well, I'll write to Ezra, and he's, you know, reasonably could be in charge of it. And she's like, okay, but I want you to go to Boston, and I want you to take charge of the company. And he's like, I can't, I have another job. And she's like, she has this moment of just like, I understand why, you know, you've got to take care of yourself. And he's just like, no, listen, I got a job as a steward for the captain of the Lorelei Lee. Like, I'm gonna come with you. And I was like, oh my god, I love him so much. Anyway, I'm sorry, I can't be normal about Higgins. I don't even know why. But he's delightful, and he's just like, listen, Jackie, I could go back to, like, being a valet again, but it'd be boring. Like, I have had so many crazy adventures with you. Like, I'm not gonna just leave now. Like, I mean, I know I've got all this money and stuff that, you know. And also, he's like, also, they probably might start looking into why your associates mysteriously have so much money, which would include me. So, I don't know, I don't want to be in prison. He's like, ugh, no thank you. So delightful. So their part one ended with them setting off. And she and Higgins have agreed they're going to pretend they don't know each other for a while they're on board the Lorelei Lee, at least initially. So that's where we stand. It's great. Yeah. This cover. This cover's funny. So first of all, you've got Jackie down here kind of playing and she's in the water. I feel like the coloring here is weird. I understand she's supposed to look wet and also tanned, but she looks kind of green. And I'm like, what? And then the other thing is that there's a bit talking about the masthead thing that she's put on the ship that's of her. I feel like this one is wearing clothes. Looks like it is, doesn't it? In the book, it's explicitly not. Okay, so, I mean, you can't really tell, but it's hard to tell. I think it's just like the lines in the wood that just make it difficult to, looks like she's wearing sleeves, but maybe she's not. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm like, yes, loving this so far, and, you know what? I want to get back into it, so next update, I'll see ya. Hello. Oh, fuck. Hello. Update on my Jackie Faber reading life. It's, I can't read. It's August 12th, Wednesday, and I've read, like, most of this book now. You know, it goes really fast when you're having a good time. So I've got, like, 200 and 300 possibly pages to update you on of events. I mean, not that I want to go into too much detail, but I think the last time I filmed, they just set sail for Australia, and now they're actually almost there. And it's been a ride. So Captain Lawton of the Lorelei Lee now was kind of a ridiculous character. He just, you know, he just wants to have a good time. He wants to drink and make merry, and he wants to make some coin on the side. So he tells the women that when they stop at ports, they can go ply their trade on the other, like, English or whatever ships in the ports. And then they have to pay him a certain percentage, but they get to keep the, you know, they get to make money, and then, like, there's different decks that they stay in on the ship, and they have to kind of, like, bid for who gets the best one, etc. Meanwhile, so that's kind of the thing, is that most of the women on board the ship are sex workers, so that's what they're doing. But Jackie and her little crew of people who came from Newgate and are mostly younger, and are actual, like, criminals rather than just some brothels that got, like, closed and sent to to Australia, like without really, as far as I can tell, actually having committed any kind of crime. But hey, oh god, they yeah, they get the laundry duty because Jackie decides that would be the best one. And, you know, of course, she immediately, like, takes charge of this little group and is all like, here's what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it, like she usually is. And Captain Lawton likes his, you know, he likes his booze and his women and his dancing and his music, and honestly just loves partying. And he lets the women have just kind of the run of the ship, mostly. And, like, honestly, it's a great time. Like, I see that, like, there's no negatives. So they stop off at a bunch of ports along the coast of Africa, and just along their journey and all these islands and stuff, and they stop by Bombay, where, of course, oh, but okay, so what do I actually need to tell you? What I feel is important, perhaps. Okay, so Jamie, this is important. Jamie was also arrested, basically for the same thing with the stolen gold. Even though he just knew about it. He actually, did he even know about it? I don't even remember. But he's like, it has nothing to do with him. But they arrest him anyway. And they have sentenced him to 7 years at the penal colony. So he's actually on another ship sailing, like, that just has male convicts. And they're heading out, of course, to the same destination. And Jackie does, eventually the two ships cross paths. And Jackie finds out that he's on that way. Also a bunch of the Irishmen who used to serve on the Emerald and that Jackie was going to hire to serve on the Lorelei Lee got arrested for, like, I don't know, being Irish, and they're being sent as well. And so is Mairead. And she was a character from a few books previous, and she's lovely, I love her. But in that book she had married Ian McConaughey, and they were kind of like in London, but now they've both been arrested and they're being sent to everybody is going to New South Wales. And like, just all the characters. And she's also pregnant, but she gets, they pick her up at Gibraltar, and a couple of other people who don't matter, but like basically because they're female convicts, they're going on the Lorelei Lee. So naturally Mairead and Jackie team up again, and so yeah, so Jamie and the Irish boys are headed towards Australia, and of course their conditions on their ship are very, very bad. They're just having a terrible time, and immediately Jamie and the rest start plotting a way to take over. And where I am now, they've just successfully, like, taken over their ship and sent all the officers and the captain and whatever, like, overboard in a ship, like in a boat, and they're just having nothing, like, they're sending them off. And now the ship is theirs, and it's like, I'm not sure what the long-term plan is, but yeah. That's where they are. And it's kind of fun to see Jamie play that role of, like, instigator and leader, because that's usually what Jackie is doing. He's okay at it. What other things are worth mentioning? Oh, the thing that is hilarious. So I'm reading this book a couple of days ago, and Captain Lawton, there's a scene early on where Captain Lawton explains to everyone on the Lorelei Lee what the deal is going to be. And one of the things is that, like, basically, you know, it's the whole thing with, like, he's perfectly happy to see all these women continue to make money in their profession, and also has no problem with them hooking up with the crew. He's just like, yeah, hook up, get married, whatever. A large part of your role, the purpose for being sent to New South Wales is to make babies and populate a continent. So, you know, whatever. And so some of the characters actually have gotten married, but, like, there was kind of this moment when when they've been on the journey for a little while, and the captain kind of puts Higgins on the spot of, like, hey, it's kind of funny that you haven't hooked up with anybody, as far as I know, and they kind of have, like, a shit moment, but then he is just, like, decides that he's gonna marry Jackie, and she's like, cool. So yeah, Jackie and Higgins are fucking married, and I remembered that was gonna happen, and I was, like, losing it. So yeah, so then I finally got to that part, and I was like, I just thought it was really funny. I had forgotten, but like, now, you know, then I remember just that little, wait, hang on, don't they get married? What the fuck? I don't remember how that resolves exactly, but it's just funny that, I just think it's funny. And, I don't remember how that gets undone, shall we say? I mean, it didn't seem like the most legal of marriages, because they didn't even, like, really say any vows or anything. He was just like, I'm the captain, you're married now too. Also, I already read all this stuff for this other couple I just married, so like, boom, boom, done. I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't understand, like, marriage is complicated anyway. Like, if you're not actually signing any documents, why can't you just abscond off to the other side of the planet and claim you've never been married? Who is going, you know, to argue with that? Plus, obviously, their marriage has not been consummated, so, like, that's another thing I guess you could bring up. Even though, of course, they claim it has. But, you know, we know better. So, yeah, it's a whole ass thing. I don't remember how Jamie reacts to this either when he finds out. I'm assuming he's not gonna care, but, like, hilarious. And, yeah, so then they go to Bombay, and then Jackie picks up this little street orphan urchin. That was like, I was combining and making a new word. Okay. But anyway, this child, and his name is Robbie, and he's cute. But, this book is great, and I am having a wonderful, grand old time reading it. Probably will talk to you again when I'm done. Also, Steak and Shake. It's a good day. Bye. Hello. Wow, the light. All right, so I finished it. It's August 15th, and yes, today I finished The Wake of the Lorelei Lee. I freaking love this book. Okay, this may actually be, you know, honestly, I'm gonna say one of my favorites. Like, I just really enjoyed it. I don't know why I liked it so much more than the Rapture in the Deep. And yet I remembered so little about this too. So, like, hopefully this time I can retain, you know, some more memory of it as we go on. But where were we? Okay, so the bulk of what I read since we last spoke, to finish this out, it kind of goes and takes a really, like, sharp left turn plot-wise, because they're going along heading towards New South Wales, and then, number one, Captain Lawton dies of a heart attack, which means that First Officer Ruger is in charge, and he's a straight bastard who hates Jackie, and some bad stuff happens with that. Like, I mean, the worst thing he does is well, he does try to kill Jackie, but he punches Mairead in the gut and kills her baby. Like, she has a miscarriage as a result. It's really sad. It's really sad. But, like, then they are attacked by Chinese pirates, and the pirates are shooting rockets at them, and, you know, trying to light their sails on fire, and obviously they don't have rockets, but Jackie is like, put me in a little boat so I can get close enough and I can shoot flaming arrows at them. So she does that, but then the Lorelei Lee is able to get away, but they, presumably Ruger, cut her off so that she can't come back. And is then taken aboard by the Chinese junk. And pirate Captain Cheng Shi, I believe I am correct, Cheng Shi. Pronouncing Chinese names is just, yeah, Cheng Shi, absolutely not my forte. But she was a real person who commanded a fleet of, like, hundreds of ships in the China Sea. Let's see. At the height of her power, she had a fleet of 400 ships and 70,000 men, making her without doubt the most successful pirate in all history. Yeah, so she sounds like a stone cold badass. And so she kind of, Jackie convinces her not to kill her, and she kind of keeps Jackie as, like, her little pet and friend. And so then in order to get them out of this situation, Jackie finally convinces her. Oh, okay, Jackie finds out that Cheng-Shi really wants this golden Buddha statue that was thrown into the ocean when she took on like plundering a particular town somewhere, and she was really pissed off that the monks did that, but she couldn't get it. So Jackie is like, but listen, if we can take the Lorelei Lee, it's my ship, I have that diving bell, I can dive down and get that golden Buddha, but if I do that, will you please let me go along with the people on these ships, my people? And then she's like, I'll let them go, but not you. So there's this like elaborate thing where they have to take the Cerberus, which they will then use to trick the Lorelei Lee. The Cerberus is not armed, but while the Lorelei Lee is, right? So that's why they're starting with the Cerberus. And then of course when they take the Cerberus, that's when they find out, oh, Jamie staged his like mutiny and is in charge of it now, so she gets to be back with Jamie. You know, and then everything actually turns out great. Cheng-Shi decides to let Jackie go after all, and sort of under her protection, and so they do go to New South Wales and they get rid of all the convicts, and Captain Bligh is like, doesn't appear on page, but the rum rebellion is like starting or something, and they're like, wow, he just sucks at everything, doesn't he? Like and then they have kind of this whole plan of what they're gonna do next, but oh no, the last sentence is like, there's a typhoon coming, and they're like, oh shit. So, oh boy. Now the next book I think is something like The Mark of the Golden Dragon, which Cheng-Shi had Jackie tattooed on the back of the neck with a dragon, and you know, it's sort of a mark of connection to her and protection from her. And I think the next book is mostly set in Asia, and I think probably the typhoon is gonna separate Jackie from the rest of the characters, which is too bad because I like all the rest of the characters to be there as much as possible, but hey. Also, oh, she and Higgins are divorced now because it's that easy. He's just kind of like, we're divorced. She's like, all right. Yeah, it's funny, but I really loved this book. Like, I found it so entertaining. And I'm literally just like, there's just no way I'm gonna be as entertained by the next two. I just don't think I will be. So, but who knows? But yeah, so I remember nothing about the plot of The Mark of the Golden Dragon, and then Viva Jacquelina, for some reason, the fucking spies are sending her places to be a spy again, I think, and she ends up in Spain, and they're trying to find information about something or other, I don't know. So, yeah. But hey, I've only got 4 books left. Wildness, and then it'll be that. So, initially, I was hoping to finish this project by the end of this year. But then obviously there was the setback of like several months break where I probably under other circumstances would have continued to read and been further by this point in the year than I am. So while I absolutely could read 4 more books before the year is over, I don't know if I actually will. Well, 4 more of these books, obviously. I'm gonna read like 4 more books in general. Duh. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess my tentative goal is still to try and finish it before the end of the year, but like, we'll see. But it's been a blast so far, and I was just so glad with how much I enjoyed this one, because like Rapture of the Deep, I don't know, I just didn't care that much. It was okay, but this was just so fun. So like we're back in the game, on the saddle, whatever, I don't know. And I think that's a good place to leave this off. I'm not know if this was a very interesting vlog because I did nothing but talk about books, but like that's normal. That's fine. Yeah. Most of what I do in my life is like go to work and you can't be seeing that. So, yeah, this was excellent, and that's what I have to say about that. See you next time.